What's up, my fellow lionesses and lions? Welcome to the Project Lioness podcast, where we are here to disrupt the mainstream narrative when it comes to health, holism, and human consciousness. We are here to share bold truths about health and life from a female perspective. This episode is brought to you by our team, Inspire Co., where we stand for your health being inspired by choice rather than being inhibited by chance. Thank you for being here and joining in on these raw, real, and powerful conversations. We hope our show brings you inspiration and empowerment to overcome challenges, reclaim your life, and ultimately pursue your mission with power, purpose, and play. Now, let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Project Lioness podcast.
You're not going to restart?
Nope. We're just going with it.
Okay.
We're having a good time in the studio today. Michael is finally cooled down.
Got the AC back on. I was struggling a little bit. Thought I was going to melt.
Well, good thing you have your iced coffee.
Yeah. It's room temp coffee now.
Good times. Yeah. Our AC has been, Aaron and Ashley were in 80. It was 80 degrees back there and 90 degrees up here on Wednesday.
Nah, dude. I would flip that sign, say adios. We'll see you guys next time. Not today.
Thankfully, our practice members are very forgiving and super great.
Yeah. What did you just learn back by the thermostat, Dr. Mel?
Well, there's a button that you can do hold at a temperature, and then you can also do hold temporarily. I didn't set it, man. I'm not going to blame it, but
1958 technology at its finest.
So actually, this is a great intro because we're talking about my guidebook, which is turning into a book coming out called Business by Design. So I will make sure that I put that in the rest of the book when I finish it, of how to change your thermostat. Or train your team how to change the thermostat.
Yeah. Look at the plants are even happy. They're waving at us now. My goodness.
I was fine. I was like totally good.
I was not.
I need to compose myself this episode. Okay, so in this episode, we're talking about business by design. And I'm going to walk you all through some of my new book that I'm writing, that I actually am going to publish into a physical book right now. It's a PDF, but that's okay. All books start with usually on a Word document on someone's computer or writing it by hand.
Not Harry Potter. Oh yeah,
How did she write it?
Well, she started on a napkin in a coffee shop.
I mean, yeah, all great ideas.
I wonder how George R.R. Martin, is that his name? Started Game of Thrones.
I don't know. You're into that right now.
I've been watching it, man.
Yeah, Ben read all of those books before he watched the show.
Really? Oh
all
my gosh. It is insane. Anyway.
We're watching the House of Dragon thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to come on here and talk about Business by Design, which I'm creating a blueprint. It's a step-by-step guide on how to open up your brick and mortar practice. So if you don't have a brick and mortar practice, it doesn't mean you won't benefit. But there is something unique about a physical space versus an online space. We talked about in our last episode, our Inspire Business and Alignment Accelerator, which we do have brick and mortar people as well as online people. So that's where Michael and I think bring a unique niche to the coaching industry. Is he has successfully done it virtually. I have successfully done it brick and mortar and virtually. So I'm like, you know what? I've got all this information in my brain. And one of the biggest things that I really, really benefited from was having mentors who had books out there that walked you through step-by-step how to do it. Specifically, Lona Cook. I interned with her. Shout out Lona if you ever listen to this. I interned with her in my trimester 10, and she has a book, Just Tell Me Where to Start. And it was a game changer to not only read that, but also intern with her. And it's kind of a full circle moment for me this year. I'm actually sharing the stage with her at Mile High this year. She's speaking as well.
That's amazing.
So I was like, oh, I get to share the stage with a mentor of mine who helped me like start my business successfully. And Dr. Lona has gone on and started many brick and mortars, and she knows what she's talking about. So I was thinking to myself, man, I have so much information in my brain. How can I put this into one thing that I can give to students or brand new business owners that they could read it and do it successfully without even needing to necessarily hire me yet. Now, there's nuances to this, and mentorship is important. Go to our last episode, we talk about that. But I wanted to start walking you all through some of the things to start to consider if you are choosing to open up your own practice, or maybe you've been open and there are things that you haven't considered when it comes to amplifying and optimizing your current brick and mortar business, whether you're a chiropractor or not. I will say this book is definitely tailored towards service professionals. And when it comes to the licensing part, I do speak specifically to chiropractors because that's what I know, but it will help you feel confident in those steps and not forget stuff. So Michael is definitely part of this experience. So going all the way back to the start, 2016 is when I graduated. And before Inspire Life to what it is today, if you guys watch on YouTube, we actually record at Inspire Life. This is our studio. I operated out of mom's basement. And even before that, I lived at home when I went to chiropractic school. I was very grateful for that. Got to save some money on rent. I would set up my table, and I know I worked on you as like one of my beta clients, worked on mom, worked on a lot of friends. And that was kind of my first office of getting it out there. So then fast forward to, fall / going into winter, eventually spring of 2017. So 2016 to 2017, chose to lease a space. And, that's a big undertaking. Like, you've got rent to pay. So moving from my first office, which is actually in my mom's basement, I made a Facebook post about that. So I'm sharing this with you guys for very humble beginnings, where I didn't, yes, I did open a larger space right away, but I started seeing people as soon as I could in a basement that people would drive to see me, and they would pay me a pretty low price to get care. So for those of you who are starting, something to consider is like, you don't have to start with a 1,500 square foot space. I know a lot of people start with like a 10 by 10 foot room, and they do really, really well. So although I'm going to guide you through what I did, know that it doesn't matter the size. If your heart is big enough to serve and you've got a mission and a vision that's beyond you to serve humanity, you can make anything work. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Well, you just got to get started at the same time.
Yes, you just got to get started.
If you try and wait for everything to be perfect or to have the perfect space or the perfect circumstance, then it'll probably never happen.
Yeah, I made a post about that the other day, where readiness, you're never going to feel ready. And if you wait until you feel ready, it's probably too late, and you're delaying your destiny. You're delaying fulfillment, and the feeling, that readiness feeling that you're seeking, is right on the other side of the decision and the choice that you make. And as soon as you make that choice and decision, that feeling comes in the action. It's not just going to like, oh, now I'm ready. You're never going to feel ready. Like there's things that I do that I still don't feel ready. I just do it.
For sure.
And I know you're that way too.
100%.
So to start, I have a table of contents. Did you ever make a business plan?
Yeah.
You did.
I did.
But you never, you received investing from other places, but not like a bank.
You mean like you?
Yes.
Yeah. I never had to take out a loan though.
No. Well, we made our own agreement.
Not a big debt guy.
Not a debt guy.
Not my thing.
Yeah. So for those of you, Michael's speaking to something that's important. Like those of you who are doctors or your service providers and you went into debt to school, debt is not a bad thing. I have another PDF book that I recently wrote called Healing the Wealth Wound. So if you have challenges with debt and you feel like you are frozen by debt, go read that book before you read this. Okay. They'll probably release around the same time. But having a business plan, if you are going to open a brick and mortar practice and you are going to either receive funds from, let's say, an angel investor or a bank, it is important to have a business plan because that shows the people who are going to be giving you funds that you have some sort of understanding that there's going to be challenges into the future, and you've thought about how you're going to navigate those challenges. You've thought about turning your vision into an actual game plan. So it's not just this like ethereal thing. Because I see a lot of people who have these great visions and they have these great ideas, but when you can actually turn it into implementation and action, the bank or whoever you're getting money from is going to take that seriously because that's money. That's their money that you're playing with essentially, and hopefully creating a higher ROI. Anything on business plans? I'm not going to go into the specifics, you guys. Like I said, I'll drop in the notes when you can get the book. I have a lot of things in here when it comes to the actual business plan. One thing, I have my entire business plan template that I'm giving you guys in this book. So if you get the virtual one, you'll be able to click that link and you'll see my business plan.
Yeah. That was actually exactly the point I was going to make, is that whether you're getting investing or not, or taking out a loan or not, I think having a business plan is important, because very likely going through some sort of template or going through like a proper business plan structure is going to uncover some things that you did not even consider. So I definitely recommend doing it, whether you're taking on capital or not.
Yeah. I talk about that in the book. And again, if you guys download the template, as Michael said, there's sections in there that you've got to consider your marketing and your ideal client and the industry of the market and like what potential problems you face. Are you getting mentorship and that type of thing? So I'm giving this all away to you guys because I've just realized like that's my contribution to the profession. I'm in a couple chiropractor groups and I just see a lot of people struggling. And I'm like, man, it doesn't have to be this way. How can I help fill that gap and solve those problems in the marketplace, in the industry, so that, to me, chiropractic has changed my life. I know it's changed Michael's life. It's changed our family's life. Like, we need more successful chiropractors and service providers, whatever industry you're in. So you'll get that in the book. And then financial or revenue projections is really important to do your numbers, you guys. So regardless of the industry, again, this goes back to creating your business plan. If you can forecast out your financial projections over the next 3 to 5 years, based on the people you're going to serve, that also gives you a lot of credibility, because you've considered how you're not only going to start up your business, but how you're going to sustain it and where the revenue is going to come from. And I know we're talking about money and revenue, and it's more than that, Dr. Mel. It's about the people. It's like, yeah, and when you open a business, you guys, you have expenses. You, just to be super straight with you, you're going to have expenses. You got to pay rent. You got to pay your employees. And so it's important to consider, how are you going to grow and maintain revenue as well as scale it in a way that, you know, if you do take out a loan, you can pay your loans back as well as pay rent and all the other things that go along with that. And money, again, is something energetic, you guys. It's not, you don't need to attach so much of your identity to it, but it is important to have a healthy relationship with money. And so I have a saying, like, that which you order and organize, you attract more of to manage it. If you're frivolous and you're not organized with your revenue and your cash flow and all those expenses, do you think you're going to attract more or less of that to manage?
Less.
And this is a big thing I see, y'all. Like, I see people hit this boundary or this block where they're like, I don't know why my business isn't growing. I don't know. I'm like, well, are you tracking the numbers? Are you tracking the stats? Are you tracking cash flow? Well, no, I don't like doing that. I'm like, there's our problem. That's why you're not growing, is because you're not organized with the growth that's trying to make its way to you. So again, even if you've been in business, y'all, this book will benefit you. Even if you're not in startup mode, but you're in growth mode, this will still help you get organized in things that maybe would have benefited you from the start. Thankfully, you can go back and clean it up. Anything from your perspective, Michael, on financial organization and projections?
No, I think you covered it. And again, we talk about it a lot. So
we do talk about it a lot.
It's important.
Okay. Next section in the book is necessary licenses and credentials. I did print it out. If you guys are watching, I have part of it printed out because I'm a nerd. Necessary licenses and credentials. So forming an LLC, going on the IRS website and getting your...
paying your $165, getting your EID or EIN number.
Employer identification number.
Yeah.
Yep. Being able to get all the policies in place, especially if you're a doctor or a health coach, right? You need certification to actually start working with people legally. We're talking about legal licenses and credentials.
For health coaches, no, not right now.
Well, you still had to go through a certification process to become a health coach, though.
To have the title.
Right.
But anyone can call themselves a health coach. That's why, unfortunately, that's why the industry is what it is, where you've got, 50% people just shilling MLM bullshit. And then you've got, 30% of people who are just telling people what to do and selling PDFs and stuff. You've got 10% of people who are, just going on TikTok live and saying crazy shit and doing the whatever. And then you have 10% of people who are actually doing it.
Yeah, it's true though. The coaching industry is kind of the Wild West.
It is. And I think, part of the reason that I'm board certified and I maintain my board certification, I do my CEUs, I keep it going year after year is because eventually there will be some more regulation around it and who can actually title themselves coaches and what actually that means and the skills that are being used. And I want to say on the flip side, especially in my profession with being a health coach, a lot of people think that they need to get more and more certifications to be able to be ready. Right?
Yeah. It's a catch-22.
Yeah, it is. It's different for you, right? You're a doctor. Yeah. You have to have an actual license to practice. For me, I see so many people who are like, I did my health coaching and I got board certified and then I did nutrition coaching and now I'm doing yoga teaching. And it's like, none of these, I think the more certifications you do, the further away you're going to get from actually doing fucking anything.
Well, it can be a distraction. You become addicted to buying courses and you become addicted to going to seminars, but you're not actually applying it.
Well, and it's something where you can justify it as progress when it's not, right? It's just like people who are addicted to exercise.
Yes.
Maybe that's me. But it's like, oh, I went to the gym today. This is not me. I go to the gym for 40 minutes and I go on a 45-minute walk every day. But it's like, oh, I went to the gym for an hour and a half. That was productive. And it's like, well, you could have gotten that done in 30 minutes and had an hour more of productivity to do, right? So anyway, I digress.
No, that's part of it says necessary.
Yes.
What do you need to start? Mm-hmm. Because again, courses and trainings and certifications, you guys will always be there. I mean, I have since I've opened gotten a lot of certifications under my belt, and eventually you just got to get into it. You just got to start serving people, and the next course will reveal itself. Your clients will tell you what they're leaning into that will give you and illuminate what's next for you. So from a business perspective, in the book I talk about, by the way, I'll put in the show notes.
I was just getting ready to count.
Oh, I'll put in the show notes a link to get on the waitlist for when I launch the actual physical book. If you would like a copy, I'll put a link so that you can be the first to get the copy, which is going to go over into way more detail than a podcast could, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of sneak preview into this. What are you counting?
I'm just counting. Sesame Street.
So malpractice insurance, if you're a chiropractor, 100% need that.
LLC, malpractice, or if you're a health coach or fitness coach, you need liability insurance.
Well, you've got to register your business. And I have links in here to the IRS, but you've got to register your business and then you've got to get the proper articles of organization. Mm-hmm. So that's two different things. I talk about building out your professional team. If you choose to do this, great. I put the links in there. I personally hired an accountant right away and he helps me do that. But I put the proper links if you're doing it by yourself. Workers' comp or business insurance. If you have a physical space, you better believe you need some insurance on your space. If anything were to happen, if someone were to fall.
If your AC goes out.
If your AC goes out or the guy on the ladder falls because he's trying to fix it, that type of stuff. Life insurance. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not trying to sell you life insurance, but as you build an asset, you want to know where are my assets going when and if I die, which we're all going to die, but you get what I'm saying.
I have heat stroke from sitting in this office.
Security systems. I talk about something we experienced. We were broken into early on in practice, and thankfully only a bucket of cash was stolen.
Trying to raise money for charity.
We were trying to raise money, and leaving a bowl of cash on the window that everyone can see is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, and it's gone.
But when you're a little baby business owner, you don't know, and you're like, everyone loves me, but some people just, want some money. So get a good security system.
$14.
Very grateful. Yeah, I put that in here.
Yeah, get a security system if you have a space.
Part of the book, you guys, is I also talk about the challenges we initially faced because Michael helped me early on grow the practice. And I talk about the things that we faced that, things I wish I would have known. So I put that in the book too, which is going to be, again, crucial that you read through it and go step by step. If you are a provider, making sure if you're going to work with insurance, you do not want to mess with insurance, you guys. We are a cash office. We do see Medicare people, but we're non-participating. So I talk about how to do that in here, to do it appropriately, and make sure that you don't get audited, because that's not a fun thing. You don't want to get audited. We did
get audited, you're going to have a bad time.
The last thing in here is opening up your business bank account. So once you've got your EIN or your FEIN, which is your employer identification number, and you've also registered your business, you've decided how you want that to be as far as a tax strategy, meaning are you an LLC or are you a PLLC? Do you do an S Corp elective? Those are all tax strategies, you guys. Again, I'm not giving you tax advice. Work with your CPA on that based on your business. But you also want to make sure you open up a business bank account so that you can start getting paid, which is exciting. I talk about in Healing the Wealth Wound book, all the ways to organize your money and organize your bank accounts that really help you stay ordered and organized and make sure that you're taking care of expenses, your taxes, your profits, your investments, and that type of thing. And I know do you do the profit first strategy?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And I think, again, back to organization, if you want to start a business and you have everything but an account set up, literally you don't have energetic space for the universe organized to be able to intake the money. So like, you just got to do all the things.
And please, you guys, please do this professionally. Like I work with businesses and I love you guys, and like, stop with the Venmo. Just stop with the Venmo. It doesn't look professional.
My CPA told me that, so in 2023 was the last year where you could kind of get away with Venmo.
Yep.
And he said in 2024, the IRS is going to be coming hard at Venmo. So that hopefully is a real world wake up for everyone.
And it honestly, you guys, if you actually walk through these steps, it does take a couple days, maybe a week to get your articles of, incorporation back, forming your business and actually getting the true documentation. Like, hey, you're a true business. Hooray, you get to pay taxes.
It takes less than 10 minutes to fill out.
Yeah. And it takes a couple days to get it back.
Yeah.
So do that and then open the bank account, because the business bank account will need to be connected to the EIN, especially if you have employees. You need that because then they have the tax ID to the business. So again, it's all for Uncle Sam.
Dude, let me just rant for a second.
Well, wait, hold on. For those of you who are brand new, I think you can get away with like people giving you cash and checks, but once you make, I believe it's over $6,000 in your business, that becomes taxable.
I've heard that's not true. I've heard any amount.
Oh, well, don't listen to me then. Let's talk to your CPA. I'm just giving you what I've heard in the past, but Michael, do your research. Either way, just start it. Just do it. Do it right away. Look professional.
Swoosh.
Look professional. Anyway, what is your rant?
I'm not going to rant. No.
All right.
I just saw that IRS agents collectively owe $50 million in unpaid taxes. So literally the people who go out and audit. And then federal government employees, between 100,000 employees, owe $1.25 billion in unpaid taxes.
Well,
I'm just going to leave that there.
Maybe they should read my book.
Nice. Send a copy to them.
Yeah. I know some people use like Zelle and Cash App, and just be professional.
And there are ways that you can do it. Like Zelle, for example, you can connect to a US bank business account, and Venmo can be a business account. But like, if you're going to do that, just do it the right way.
Right.
Otherwise it could cost you a lot of money. And
here's the thing. When you guys open up a business bank account, this would be something to talk to your CPA, but so many things become, you can deduct it on your taxes. Business expenses. Thank you. I was looking for the word. So many things become business expenses. Now, again, this is all talk to your accountant type speak, but that is the benefit of being a business owner, because you face so many challenges, but a lot of things can become tax write-offs legally.
My accountant was just a funny story. He had a guy who came in and he's like, apparently this guy thought because he worked from home, he could have his mortgage be a business expense. And he paid his mortgage for like 16 months out of his business account. Oof. He's like, he might go to jail. So just be smart, like look into it. Again, I think like Dr. Mel mentioned, having trusted people, especially an accountant and someone who understands tax law, is super, super important. And it doesn't even need to be someone that you employ like month over month, right? Mm-hmm. It could be someone, maybe you pay them for an hour of their time for consulting, right? Maybe someone who you just have a working relationship who you can ask questions to, right? But yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, don't fuck around.
No, don't.
Don't pay your mortgage with your business account.
Yeah, you do not want to get audited. If you have any, here's a rule of thumb. If you have any doubt in a business decision based on what we're talking about, consult someone before you take action.
For sure.
And I have done things where I just was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. And then it didn't come back to bite me, but there were consequences of like kind of cleaning things up.
For sure.
As you get bigger, as you make more revenue, as you start doing investments, or, you become shareholder in your company, that type of thing. So start with the foundation strong. And if you have any questions, consult someone. If you have any doubt, that's good feedback to just don't do anything before you consult someone.
And don't ever think that you're too small to get audited. That's another thing. Like, you might assume like maybe in your first couple of years, your revenue is, somewhere in the $50,000 to $100,000 range. Just because you're maybe smaller than big corporations or even middle or even other small businesses, don't assume that you're too small to get audited, because it can happen to anyone.
Yep, 100%. So we're here to help you close those gaps and not have to worry about that. Creating your brand archetype. So this is something I see too, where not a lot of people think about how to take their vision and their mission and translate it into a brand. And they just kind of go with their name, and that, not that you can't brand your name in your practice. However, you have to consider, and I would invite you to consider, what is your bigger vision with your business? Are you going to be the person who's just in business until the day you die and you don't really care about the brand in the community? Or do you eventually want to scale it to sell it? And not a lot of people think about, when they open a business, your business becomes an asset, but what do you want to do with that asset? Your business is designed to help you create a lifestyle and eventually to buy back your time in some way. Now, doesn't mean that you have to scale it to sell it, but as a business owner, we face the concept of quote unquote retirement. I don't necessarily believe in the concept of retirement for me, but what is your future? What are you creating for your future? Is it something that you're going to have to work in the rest of your life? Or are you actually creating a business that works for you and is built by design, which is why the book is called Business by Design. So all of this goes back to your brand, and your brand is not just a logo. It is not just a logo that you rip off of Google, and it's not just a color. And I talk about in this section of this book, all the reflection questions you can ask yourself when it comes to your brand. I know I spent many, many hours on designing my brand, not just drinking bottles of wine with Jeff and coming up with a logo, but down to, how do I want people to feel when they enter this community? How do I want them to feel when they see our logo and the colors? What do the colors mean psychologically? What are our core values? How do I want the vision and the mission to be portrayed in the brand archetype or the brand experience? So you guys, your brand is not just a logo that you rip off of Fiverr for $5, but really consider, like, what does this mean? And one of the questions I have you reflect on is, what are some of your favorite brands? What are some brands that your ideal clients like? Why do they like those brands? And you'll find, again, we've associated the psychological experience with the logo, right? It's not the other way around. We've associated the experience with the logo and the color, but it is truly like energetic, from my opinion. And I don't know if you have anything to add on that. I also talk about how our logo and our brand archetype has evolved over time based on more companies and businesses that we've built.
Yeah. I think that's all spot on. I think, I wouldn't diminish building a personal brand.
Yeah.
That's a different thing than your business. Those are separate entities, right? Like if this place was called Dr. Mel Chiropractor, yeah.
With the yeah?
With the yeah. Dr. Mel Chiropractor, comma, yeah, exclamation point, thumbs up emoji. And that was a sign on the building. You could do great. And in 20 years, if you want to sell it, I don't know anyone who's buying Dr. Mel Chiropractor. Yeah.
I think you can. Yeah. You can sell a business and like the new owner can rebrand.
Yeah.
But that is a lot of work.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work. Why not create it now?
Especially if you have systems that you're building underneath it.
Yes. Why not create the brand now where you will build your personal brand within your business, but I think it also is healthy to have some separation. Because we can get so attached as business. I mean, this was me in the first couple of years of practice. I was so attached to my business until I actually evolved into like, okay, how do I actually become like the true entrepreneur where I can build a business and then step away?
For sure. I think so like my business, I currently am just a solopreneur and I am my business and I am the sales, the marketing, the delivery and everything. But my business is still called Inspire Health Coaching because it's going to energetically have the space to be able to grow and I can hire people underneath me. I mean, I have people who do other types of work besides the coaching, but there can be a bigger vision. And I think, building your personal brand with it to start is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of this goes back to, again, knowing your vision and your mission. And you're allowed to change that for sure. It's okay to pivot. But do you want to have people underneath you? Do you want to have multiple locations? Do you want to have different coaches underneath you? Do you eventually want to sell this? Do you want to scale it? Do you want to work with companies, right? Do you want to have a company buy you out? That is a little less likely in the chiropractic profession, I will say. But, totally, like I see new doctors buying practices all the time that are already successful. So why not set them up for success where the sale can be seamless and they can step into a very successful practice that has less attrition and turnover in that transition of the business.
For sure.
So, okay. I also put in here, your professional team. I put some people in here that I really think highly of when it comes to branding. So you guys will also get people that I professionally am connected with and really appreciate the work that they do, because sometimes in the beginning you're like, I don't even know who to work with. Who do I even talk to? So I'm putting people in here.
Talk to Jeff.
Well, yeah. I don't think I would do it differently. I think Jeff and I did a good job. I also talked about the meaning behind our logo, which I don't talk about a lot, but you can understand the evolution of I forgot to put one thing in here. I'm glad we're talking about this. I got some edits to make before the final release. Okay. Attracting your ideal location. It is an attraction, y'all. You want to consider accessibility. What's the demographics?
Do you have something in here about having some random guy put like a copper rod in the ground a mile away? Is that in here?
It will be.
Okay.
That's building out your space. That's
gotcha.
one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. We've got attracting your ideal location, just so you guys know where we're going. Building out your space, designing your space, equipment, marketing 101.
It wasn't copper.
It is copper.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's not plutonium?
No, it's copper.
Oh, okay.
And building your professional team. So attracting your ideal location, this truly was like an attraction for me. Like I would drive past this space every single time I'd go to chiropractic school. And I was like, I wonder if they have any spaces available. And it was literally the exact space that I was coming up with in my head, down to wooden floors, big windows, natural light. Would I do that again?
These are laminate floors.
Yeah, they're not truly wood, but it's okay. You get the point.
I'm just joking. I'm a little brother.
You are a little brother.
Duh.
But I will put in the book, I'm not to this point in writing of it, but just to give you guys a preview, you do want to consider the demographics of where you're opening up. Are you opening up close to your hometown? If not, and you're moving, you have got to create awareness in that community before you open. Otherwise, I think it is important to ask for a couple months rent free if you can, or reduced rate, because if you are brand new to a community, that is the number one thing that will help you grow your practice is you've got to become the best known person in town. And thankfully I opened up, 7 minutes from where we grew up. So a lot of people that I see already knew me, but if you're not in that position and you're moving across the country, there are a lot of different ways that you can tap into a community before you move. Thankfully, social media is one of those things, but if you are moving, be realistic with your timeline of opening. And if you do open right away, you've got to be mindful of your expenses. Do you have a loan to cover some of those expenses right away? If you have less cash flow, just a lot of things to consider that I'll make sure I put in the book. Anything on you for location? I mean, I know you haven't opened a brick and mortar, but
copper rods. You need copper rods. Tell.
I will.
Okay.
That's the next step, is building out the space, which you have got to consider flow of clients, flow of your team, flow of you. Are you going to grow into a multiple service provider office? Where are your subsequent rooms that you have in your space? You must consider client flow. So if you are going to go into build out, let's say you have some tenant improvement allowance or use some of the loan to build out the space, which we did. This was more of a gray, what do they call it? A gray box or something versus white. It's like nothing's been done, I think. So we had to do some things to the space, but we didn't have to build out the whole space, thankfully, but we did add some walls and drop a ceiling, a couple things here and there. But you want to consider, as soon as you walk in the door, what is the client or customer journey from start to finish? Down to where's the waiting space? What is the flow of people checking in and out? What is the flow of them going back to the services? What about the rooms? If you're using other rooms, where are they getting the actual services? Where is your flow? If there's other people, if there's an overflow of waiting space, consider that. But if you get jammed up, you guys, that's going to destroy the whole flow of your business in general, not just the people, but the energy and your energy. So consider putting yourself in your client's shoes for a second and walking through every single detail. I have some training videos, and we put them in Inspire Business and Alignment Accelerator, of me giving people an office tour. So you can actually see the flow of what we walk people through to consider it for your own space. I also will recommend that you go to a lot of different offices to see their flow and watch for a couple hours so you can get a sense. And I'm speaking to chiropractic, but let's say you're opening up a yoga studio. Go intern, right? Our last episode, we talked about the witnessing. That's a form of witnessing how things are done in a successful office. That will help you tremendously in the design. I do think it's important to also hire some people, if you're not a design expert, to amplify aesthetics. Unless you're really good at that. I know my aunt helped me, her friend helped me as far as color and flow and structure. I also hired what Michael's speaking to is a more functional or holistic, I don't even know what date.
Copper rod guy. You got to know a copper rod guy. If you don't know a copper rod guy.
So not everyone knows this, but now they will know this because Michael is talking.
Because when you first told me this, I was like, whoa. But also, I think it has made a huge difference.
Totally.
So
when I first, found this space, or it found me, the business before had failed. Mm-hmm. And so there was an energy to that because I do look at things energetically. And then as soon as I signed the lease, the landlord died three days later.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's some energy here to clear, not good, bad, right, wrong, just some energy to clear so that Inspire Life can have a fresh soil to build upon and grow within. And so it was Dr. Ty, introduced me to this guy who does like functional stuff in your space or just supporting the energy. So he'll come in and like paint your walls with lead to prevent EMF frequency, for example. We didn't do that.
Aren't you not supposed to do that?
Well,
we didn't do that here.
No,
there's no lead in the paint here.
It wasn't maybe lead, but it was some type of paint to protect EMF frequency.
I'm sure lead would work.
Well, think of an X-ray.
Yeah.
X-rays don't get out of lead.
Okay.
So anyway, maybe it wasn't lead. I'll have to look at his stuff.
This bro's coming in and saying, I got lead paint, I got asbestos, I got whatever you need. Just kidding.
We'll probably have to do a part 2 of this podcast, you guys, because I'm probably only going to get through a couple of these because Michael is wanting me to highlight this, which is great. But consider the energy of your space, not just the colors, but the actual, when people step in, they feel the difference at Inspired Life. And here's what I think why. Not only the energy and the mission that we hold here, but also a couple things that I did before I opened. Number one, I had him come do a chi clearing. So when the space was totally like just a mess in here, him and I came in one evening and we sat in 2 chairs and closed our eyes and he did some like clearing. And he's like, he opens his eyes and he's like, oh yeah, you had a portal open in the back room, but I closed it. And I was like, okay,
I love this guy. Never met him, but I love him.
So he's just like some super chill bro. And he's walking around with this little wand that's like showing the kind of EMF frequencies. And so of course there's a lot up here by Ashley, which we did a couple things there to diminish that. There's one in the back with the Wi-Fi. We did a couple things to diminish that. And then we also, not only with the chi clearing, he said, did you know that this building is on a earth, like, I forget what they call it.
Grid line.
A grid line.
Axis line.
Yeah. So there's 2 grid lines that intersected the middle of the office. And he's like, that can really disrupt the healing in this space because it's grid lines. I don't know. Right. just saying what he said. I haven't gone deep into this. Some of you more energetic people know this stuff. He's like, so what I'm going to do is as the grid lines come through, if you put a copper rod, it will divert over your business. So he measured how far he had to go out. There is a copper rod like a mile that way in the ground somewhere. I really hope that Mid-America doesn't listen to this. It's not even on this ground. It's like a mile out that way or half a mile. He staked it deep into the earth so that when the grid line hits it, it bumps the frequency or something over the office so it doesn't run through the center of the office. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I need to give me that guy's info. I need that.
Yeah, I have his info actually. It's somewhere back there. It's like functional living or functional design or something like that. But he came back and he's like, you should be good now. I was like, cool.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Can I throw in something?
Yeah.
So with an online business as well, I know it's not a physical space, but you also need to consider your customer experience. You need to, like, if you're using different apps, different softwares, how you deliver things, if it's email, if it's via different types of messaging. Same thing like Dr. Mel said, like not just a tour, but making sure you understand like every piece of communication and like how they're interacting with you and how it looks. That also becomes your brand and something that's very important to consider. So yeah, I've gone through a lot of experimentation with different softwares, from workout programming to community building to calls to, you know, just communication in general. And, you know, don't feel like you're stuck in one place either just because you've been using something as well, if you need to change.
Michael has his own version of copper rods.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his name is Damon.
Okay.
I don't even know if so part of why and thank you for sharing the virtual space, because I know we have a lot of people who listen who have more of that or they're building that. He noticed with his kids, I think, or him who had sensory stuff, that it was a lot of the just frequencies that they were exposed to. So he started designing spaces that really helped reduce that EMF or that kind of frequency noise that help with people's nervous systems.
Cool.
So I think a lot of that people feel when they walk in here, because I did it with intention by design. You know, I want people to feel like grounded while they're here and not a bunch of disturbances, since we're surrounded by technology all the time nowadays.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is. But I appreciate you chiming in with the virtual stuff. Even though you may not have a physical space, you still have a space that people go through energetically with your business.
For sure.
So attracting your ideal location, building out your space. I'll probably do a part 2 of this just because we're getting a little long on the episode. I'll also talk about designing your space, which does have to do with flow, like I was mentioning. And then the equipment, more going to speak to, of course, chiropractors, but I would highly recommend going into businesses and really this is what I did. I took a lot of notes on like, what type of chairs are they using? Where did they get their chairs?
Yes.
What type of people are going to be using your chairs? So you'll see with these chairs that we're sitting on, they can accommodate a lot of different body types, as well as the chairs back there. We do have stools. Not everyone uses those, but you want to consider the client's experience and all the different body types that you may be serving. And is it accommodating to them or not?
Yes. What I wanted to share before I got fixated on Copper Rod Guy was not only the experience for your clients, not only like it's important to understand, and like visiting other online coaches per se to see their experience. So I have worked with 3 different fitness coaches online and 2 different health coaches. And I literally signed up for their programs just so I could see how it worked.
Yep.
I wanted to see their email campaign, their email flow, how they sent out little things like how you send out call reminders can make a big difference.
Yep.
Right. So being able to learn from, and I also have obviously had business coaches who I've learned from too, and I've used everything from Discord, Slack, Telegram, GroupMe, like all of these with communities as, you know, Kajabi, school, Facebook groups, like, and figure out what works best for you, as well as what did you experience as a client and enjoy the most.
Yes.
So that's like walking through other chiropractic offices, and the online space is like, yeah, sign up for maybe a program. Maybe it's $1,000, but you're going to get way more value out of it for how you're going to serve people. Not to mention, you know, the fitness classes and stuff I did were pretty cool. And dude, there was one, pretty high level fitness influencer. I did their their program, I was like, dude, this sucks. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah. I mean, you see what's out there and you're like, how can I optimize on it? And you're like, wow, this is way overpriced. Yeah, no, that's really good. Because again, we want to, even though this is business by design for brick and mortar, there's a lot of things you're hearing that you can, from Michael, apply to your online space. And give yourself permission to evolve, right? Like we just added a new system and procedure for our Inspire Business and Alignment Accelerator, and we've been doing it for a year, but just recognizing like, oh, this would be beneficial. So permission to evolve. Like there's a ton of things we've added, you guys, in this space over the years because, I've had new team members, we've grown our team, and they're like, hey, have you ever considered this? I'm like, no, that's a really great idea. Or maybe you serve a different client who we just added a little picture frame in the office, or in the bathroom rather, to tell people, hey, this is a fragrance-free zone. Because we were noticing people would come in and they would just be freshening up in between whatever, and it was fine. But, sometimes those fragrances can cause a lot of hormone disruption and endocrine disruption. And
Gives
that
me
can
a headache.
Yes. And that's what happened is Dr. Erin walked in the bathroom and she was like, whoa, I have a headache now, because it was just so filled with a fragrance. So we're like, wow, if Dr. Erin's getting a headache, chances are we have clients that deal with nervous system stuff. They're going to have some issues too.
For sure.
And, it's not that you can't use perfume and fragrances. Like I personally don't. I use essential oils, but use it outside because we're trying to create a space that doesn't allow for excessive stimulation like that.
For sure.
I know adding the spindrift over here with our little cooler, we added that pretty early on. People freaking love that.
Including me.
Don't drink spindrift, but people love that. And we've tried different things in there. We had like CBD drinks, and I think the spindrift is winning the game. So
You haven't put beer in there yet.
yeah, I'll walk through this more in the book, you guys, just things you wouldn't consider that can make a really big difference in creating just the home of your space and having it feel like a home.
Love it.
Yeah. And then for episode 2 with this, next time we'll talk about, again, equipment, your marketing, which is big, and then building your professional team. And then I'll probably add another table of contents of like starting up and grand opening. So I'll add that in.
Cool beans.
Anything to add?
Yeah.
Copper Rod guy.
Copper Rod, yeah.
Get your Copper Rod guy. If you guys want, I'll add his name in here. I don't know I have no idea if he's still in business, but very grateful for him closing portals. It's important to close portals.
For sure.
So you don't get sucked in.
Cool.
All right, you guys, this is Dr. Mel.
Michael.
And this is Business by Design. If you want access to my book before I launch it, get on the wait list. Link is in the show notes. And we'll see you next time. Peace, love, keep inspiring.
Peace.
Bye. Thank you for joining the Project Lioness podcast. Did you find value in today's episode? Help us impact the lives of others by sharing this podcast with someone you know who would resonate and benefit from the Project Lioness message. Excited to hear more? We invite you to subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And we'd be so grateful for you to leave us a review about what you enjoy most, as well as what you'd like to hear more of. Thank you so much for all of your support. Sincerely yours in power, purpose, and play. Dr. Mel with the Project Lioness podcast. Keep rising, keep roaring, and keep inspiring.